Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So we begin with an update for the Grand Inquisitor provided by Rupert Friend himself. Now the other day Joby Harold kind of suggested that they're not going to break canon and that the Grand Inquisitor is still alive, and of course he'd have to be because he appears later in the timeline in Star Wars Rebels. But there has been some worry and some doubt amongst fans ever since episode 2 when he was stabbed in the stomach by Reva. Now with 2 episodes to go, we largely expect to see him back in action, and now Rupert Friend has spoken on Jimmy Kimmel with the biggest hint yet. When Jimmy says, "You were stabbed in the stomach," Rupert responds, "One of them." Powans, as we know, have 2 stomachs, and to everyone's surprise, it appears as though Rupert knows enough about the Star Wars lore surrounding his character's species, and so he whipped out that piece of knowledge. But the fact that he used it as a rebuttal is pretty much confirmation of not if but how the Grand Inquisitor survived. Now even though Rupert was pushed for an answer, he would not say if the Grand Inquisitor is going to appear again this season. I personally think he will. It was always going to be impossible for Disney to retcon Rebels, and I think we all expected to see him back, but it's good to hear it from the actor himself. Now, despite my initial problems with the character design in live action, I must admit I'm a huge fan of this version. I think Rupert's done an excellent job at being intimidating. My only complaint is how he isn't back yet. I wanted to see more of him, but there are still 2 episodes to go. Now speaking of the Inquisitors, a question I received the other day is whether or not the 5th brother will use his lightsaber at all. It's definitely something that Rebels fans want to see, but it's kind of impossible to know at this stage. What I will say that is worth pointing out is that Sun Kang, during an early interview last year for the show, admitted he did use a lightsaber on set, so I'm gonna say probably yes. I predict these last 2 episodes are going to have a lot of action and lightsaber sequences, not just between Obi-Wan and Vader in their second fight, but with the Inquisitors as well. They're probably saving the best for last. And so now, my dear friends, we have an update for the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. Now, over the last few weeks, we've heard a few rumours of character appearances, and the most prominent one was Darth Maul. But now, thanks to an action figure leak, it's been confirmed that surviving Magna Guards are going to feature in the game. Brilliant news for prequels fans. It's a major callback to Revenge of the Sith, but their inclusion in the game begs the question of who they're working for, and how they're still around at this point in the timeline. At the end of the Clone Wars, after Grievous's death to Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Emperor ordered the deactivation of all Magna Guards. They had ceased to be useful. Some of them were acquired by collectors and given a new purpose, but they were certainly scarce across the galaxy. The only functioning Magna Guards we know of in canon during the Imperial era were on the planet of Nar Shaddaa in the service of Gracchus the Hutt. Now the 2 droids battled Luke Skywalker during Gracchus's attempt to steal his lightsaber. In Legends, on the other hand, the use of Magna Guards during the Imperial era was a bit more expansive. 2 of these guards were reactivated as bodyguards for NK Necrosis. And in case you don't know who he was a highly advanced combat droid created from the body of the late General Grievous. On top of this, surviving Geonosian separatist Gizor Delzo also used these guards as infantry for his own personal army. The way they're going to be used and appear in Jedi Survivor is yet to be seen, but I'm certainly fascinated by the possibility. I can already imagine playing as Cal, taking some of these f***ers out without any problem. I loved them in Revenge of the Sith. I had the action figures of them growing up, but the redesign for this game is so freaking cool too. So next up guys, we have an update for Taika Waititi's movie. Only a week ago, Kathleen Kennedy said Taika's movie is the next one we can expect, and it's set to be released in late 2023. Well, in typical fashion for Lucasfilm these days, it's once again probably going to be pushed back. That's right, Taika's movie is probably not going to make the 2023 slot. And in a new interview, Taika Waititi reveals why. So as we know, the future of Star Wars is definitely for the TV shows on Disney+, but Lucasfilm does plan to keep releasing theatrical films. What the next Star Wars movie will be and when it's going to be are unknown. Originally it was going to be Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, but that's been pushed back indefinitely, and then recently she said it's Taika's film. But in a new interview with Screen Rant, director Taika Waititi shared he's still in the early stages of mapping out his Star Wars movie and is uncertain of when it's going to release. In his own words, he said, "That's yet to be seen, I don't know. I'm still writing, I'm still coming up with the ideas and storylining it, and just wanted to make sure that it feels like a Star Wars film." Now, I've always said that quality is way more important than quantity, and if it takes extra time to get this film right, then take it, but the organisation at Lucasfilm with their upcoming movies has been quite shambolic. But I do want Taika to take his time with it, and he even admits that he wants to make sure his story has a place in a galaxy far, far away, which is admittedly great news. It's great to hear they're taking care with it. He says, because I could say, oh yeah, we'll just write any old thing and set it in space, and then put Star Wars on the front, but it wouldn't be a Star Wars film without certain elements and a certain treatment. So I've just got to make sure that it stays within that wheelhouse, and I think his comments here and his approach are refreshing, not just telling a Star Wars story for the sake of it, but ensuring the story he does tell has its place in the canon and is a story worth telling. But it does seem as though Kathleen Kennedy's hopes of a holiday 2023 release are very optimistic. With the director still in the early phases of generating ideas and mapping out the story, there likely isn't even a script yet, certainly not one that's ready for shooting. There have been no details on a cast, shooting locations, or really when it's going to take place. All we know is that it's quote sequel trilogy era. But look, considering 2023 is set to be a massive year for Star Wars with The Mandalorian Season 3, the Ahsoka series, and possibly The Acolyte among other projects, I would rather Lucasfilm takes an extra year to get this film right than try and pump it out within the year, but as I said, that's almost impossible at this stage. Taika Waititi should be taking all the time he needs to ensure that this Star Wars film can be as good as possible, and I must say it's very encouraging to fans that this director understands how Star Wars works. We've seen his magic in The Mandalorian, and I do think he can absolutely ace a good Star Wars movie. My only hope for it is that it doesn't lean on the Skywalker saga or any of the legacy characters. Give us something new and fresh, and if it's going to be sequel trilogy era, then give us a solid story based on the new Jedi Order. Of course, I'm assuming it's going to be based on the Jedi, but you never know, it could be anything. I just want the return to Star Wars on the big screen to be fresh, and I know I'm not alone on this. And so finally, my dear friends, a quick update for The Acolyte. Darth Revan, Darth Bane, Darth Nihilus, and Malak are rumoured to appear in Star Wars The Acolyte. Now, obviously this would be through holocrons and flashbacks and not in the present day, but it seems like Leslye Headland, according to this new rumour, wants to do justice to the legacy of the dark side in Star Wars. That's going to be incredible to see. The rumour comes from Diz Insider, where they say that multiple fan favourite dark side users are set to appear, even if it's just briefly. Now, despite fan worries, I think Leslie's recent interview with Vanity Fair was extremely reassuring. She read tons of expanded universe novels in preparation, and she wants her show to feel as though it leads into The Phantom Menace, so sticking with the Star Wars legacy. For better or for worse, I have high hopes for this series. Let's see what happens. But with that said, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of today's Star Wars news update. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, while also getting access to our Discord server, then click the link down there in the description. But until the next one, guys, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.